Hello, everyone. Welcome to College is for Everyone, Undocumented Student Resources. My name is Melissa Candel, and I'm the program specialist for the DREAM program at Mount San Antonio College. With me, I have an amazing alumna of HLP USD. Her name is Jessica Sanchez. Jessica, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today. My name is Jessica Sanchez. Like Melissa mentioned, I am a Hacienda La Puente Unified School District alumni. I graduated from Los Altos High School back in 2016. After graduating high school, I went to Mount San Antonio College. I was there for 3 years, and now I am a rising senior at UCLA. So thank you so much for having me today.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. And throughout the presentation today, you're actually going to get to hear more from Jessica and learn more about the resources that she used to be able to go to college and learn from her experiences. In this presentation, we also have a couple of your counselors who want to welcome you. So I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Linda Ziegler, counselor at La Puente High School. Thank you for having me.
Hi, I'm Eva Munoz Franco, counselor at Los Altos High School.
Hello, I'm Loretta Guzman. I'm the counselor at William Workman High School.
Hi guys, Megan Hara from Wilson High School. Hope you guys get a lot of good information today.
Awesome. Thank you all. So today's presentation is going to be focused on what resources are available for undocumented students to be able to go to college. I know that right now there's a lot of misunderstandings about what resources there are, especially around DACA. A lot of students feel that they need to have DACA to be able to continue their education. And I want to start this presentation by saying that whether you have or don't have DACA, you don't need it to be able to go to college. So if you don't have a paper, if you don't have a pen, go grab one because you will want to take some notes throughout this presentation. The main topics that we're going to cover, we're going to keep it simple, focusing on the things that you need to know to be able to get started. Topic number one is going to be AB 540. So we're going to talk about what this is and why it's important for undocumented students to fill this out. Then we're going to talk about the California DREAM Act and how that type of financial aid can help you pay for your college expenses. Afterwards, we're going to talk about the Dream.US Scholarship, which is an opportunity to receive extra money to be able to make your college dreams come true. And then after that, we're going to finish off by talking about the DREAM program at Mount SAC, the type of resources that we offer, and the fact that other colleges and universities have a similar program as well. So if you take anything away from this presentation, let it be the fact that you can go to college despite what your immigration status might be. And the perfect way for you to see that this is possible is by hearing it from someone who comes from your city, somebody that comes from your area, that's a product of the HLP USD school district. So I'm going to hand it off to Jessica so she can tell us a little bit more about her experiences as a high school student, as a community college student, and now at UCLA, and so you can learn how she did it.
Thank you, Melissa, so much. So like Melissa mentioned, I want to talk about my story and share a little bit about my life and the struggles that I have overcome. As an undocumented student, I understand the struggle. I know, the uncertainties, the unknowns, right? And the fear that we might face as we're like coming to this new part in our life, especially when we want to go to college, right? And a lot of the questions are, but how do I get there? How do I do that, you know? So let me share really quick about my life. So my name is Jessica Sanchez, like I said earlier, and I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. I was raised in a small pueblito named Atoyac, Jalisco, 2 hours away from Guadalajara. When I was just 7 years old, my dad decided to migrate, you know, to the United States. And the reason why he decided to come was because, you know, there was not a lot of job opportunities back in Mexico. You know, it was, as a little kid growing up, I didn't really understand, right? For me, like having a pot of beans, right? And like con queso, like that was pretty much like, that made me happy. But back then I just didn't really understood the struggles that my parents were facing, right? So my dad migrated. I was 7 years old, and it was really hard for me when my dad came. I fell in really deep depression, and that's when my mom said it was not okay. We were 2 years without my dad after, you know, we decided to just migrate all of us together. I came here to the United States at the age of 7, actually, and I started third grade. Third grade was not easy, right? Learning a new language was very difficult. I am very grateful for my mom just because she would be the type of person to translate every single word in my homework for me. So she would have like a little, you know, dictionary to the side, and every word she will translate it for me, and then back, you know, back and forth. So that was a struggle that I faced mostly, you know, coming was the language barrier. And then after that, I decided, you know, just to continue, you know, putting my best in school. I've always been like a really like a school person. I really like school, but it was mostly because I had the support from my parents, who would always be telling me like, you need to do your homework, right? And I grew up with my dad always telling me, your only responsibility it's for you to go to school and to get good grades and not worry about the rest, which is something that I really admire about my dad. Just fast forward to high school. I started in Rosemead High School, so I actually went there for my freshman and sophomore year. When I was in Rosemead, I started high school and I didn't really understand what I wanted to do for like my life. I was just going to high school trying to get good grades, but I didn't really plan for the future. Because I was an undocumented student, I really didn't know the resources that were out there for me, and what I was able to do, to pursue higher education. It was not until I enrolled in Avid, without even knowing what it was. It was on my schedule, right? Like, when we get our schedule and like we have our electives, I happen to have Avid. And Avid, let me just say that was opportunity that, pretty much changed me and changed my life, because I was able, through that specific program, I was able to meet so many amazing, classmates, but also, teachers who helped me. It was my freshman year when I met an undocumented student who was actually gonna go to Irvine, UC Irvine. And for me, that was the first time in my life that I had seen someone, undocumented, someone that resembled like me, that was gonna go to college. I didn't personally think that was possible. But she was like the living, version, and I was like, this is what I needed for me to actually, kind of like echándole más las ganas. So I began, to continue working hard, and I started getting enrolled in extracurricular activities. And then fast forward to 2014, that's when I came to the district, and I enrolled in Los Altos High School. In Los Altos High School, again, I continued with Avid. That's when I met, if you are part of Los Altos, Miss Crawler, she's an amazing, amazing teacher. I really appreciate her so much and everything that she has done. In high school, I was part of the Spanish Honor Society, and I got, again, to meet, amazing teachers, and, go to different, field trips that really helped me, kind of navigate where I wanted to go. After graduating high school, or actually when I was still a senior in high school, I decided, that I wanted to go to college. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to college. So I started applying, and as an undocumented student, a first generation college student, that was very difficult as well. It was very difficult because I felt like I was just pretty much thrown out there, like, you need to do it. And I had a lot of questions, right? But because I was an undocumented student and I was a first gen, I had a lot of fear in asking questions. So I actually, with the help, of Miss Crawler, I was accepted in various colleges and universities. I was actually gonna go to a 4-year right after high school, but that did not work out because I actually got the wrong information. When I was submitting all the paperwork for the specific university, I got the wrong information, and I did not dare, to ask why I couldn't go. But I just decided, that it was just not for me. And one of the reasons why I felt like I decided just to not go that route was because the financial aid that I was getting was not enough. And my dad being a construction worker, I knew that that was not another barrier that I wanted to put on my dad. So, that was another issue, right? But I was grateful and I was blessed to be a recipient of the Dream.US National Scholarship. So right after high school, I was a national scholarship recipient for that specific scholarship, and I attended Mount SAC. I attended Mount SAC, and the reason why I attended Mount SAC was because it took me an event like this for me to decide that I wanted also to continue and learn about the resources. So just a little backtrack. I was a junior when I attended the college fair back in 2015, and I met Elmer Rodriguez. He used to be the coordinator of the DREAM program back when I was at Mount SAC, and he literally introduced me to all the information that you're gonna learn right now. So it was a session like this when I knew that there was resources for me out there for me to continue on to pay my school, and for me to like apply for scholarships, and for me to be like, you know what, like I can do this, I can definitely do this. So please, like Melissa said, take note. But then again, then I won the scholarship. I went to Mount SAC. I was part of so many programs because I remember Elmer told me, if you as an undocumented student, you need to take advantage of all the resources that are available for you. And that's exactly what I did. So if I can sign up for something, I was the first one in the line to be signed up for that program, that, you know, that club or whatever it was, because I knew that at the end of the day, it was going to help me grow as a student and just as an individual overall. So I was part of the Dream program. I was part of Bridge. I was part of EOPNS. I was part of the FEM club. I was part of MECHA. I was part of Ideas. So I was very involved on campus, and my involvement really led me to continue advocating for my community and, you know, just use the power of my voice. So use the power of my voice to advocate for my community. So, you know, at Mount SAC, we really, you know, they used to call me like the social justice warrior. We would go to like the board of trustees and demand for protection, right, for undocumented students. We would go to marches in LA, and we would like march and like let our voice be heard. Mount SAC was in a very like, I feel like Mount SAC literally shaped me into the confident woman that I am now, because back then I would not dare to speak. I would not dare to do, you know, half of the things that I'm doing now. So, you know, Mount SAC, I graduated last year, and it feels like yesterday, but it was last year when I graduated with a sociology, psychology, and social behavior sciences associate's degree, and I am now at UCLA as a sociology major, double majoring actually in Chicanx and Central American Studies, and minoring in education. My goal in life is to be a professor. I want to be able to, you know, continue in the educational route, influence undocumented students, and influence my community, and let them know that it is possible for us to go to college, that despite the challenges and the barriers that we face every day, like there are people out there, there are resources out there available for us to, you know, reach our dreams, you know, because literally there's so many things out there and so many people, you know, that really do care about, you know, for students to be successful, that you know, that we're here now, you know. So for me, being at UCLA, I never thought ever in my life that I was gonna go to UCLA. I thought that was like an impossible dream, right? But here I am now, and I am here, and I am marking, and I'm, you know, I am claiming a space that was not created for me, but I'm also taking that space to influence more people to come, you know, and join this, you know, just attend college. So that's just a little bit about my life, and I really hope that you take a lot, you know, from this presentation that you're about, you know, to hear. And, you know, if you have any questions, please feel free, you know, to reach out to me. I am more than happy to help you all, just because I know what it's like, right? So please, if I can serve as any type of support, just know that I will be there for you, and whatever it is. So with that, I'll give the mic to Melissa. Thank you so much for allowing me to share.
Jessica, thank you for sharing that. I actually, as I was listening to your story, I can imagine a lot of students and their families listening and feeling your story, right? Because it's the story of so many of our undocumented students. I want to ask you two questions, if you're okay with it, that I feel they need to hear that as well. The first question is, I know that for a lot of students, especially in the current times that we're living, right, amidst the global pandemic where so many things are uncertain and there are so many unknowns, a lot of our students and our families are essential workers, right? They have to hustle. They have to figure out a way to pay for rent, to buy food, to pay for their everyday necessities. And I can imagine a lot of them feeling like, you know what, like maybe college is, although it's possible right now, maybe it's not my priority right now because I would rather help out my mama, right? I would rather help out my dad and go to work with him so that we can get more money in the household. And I know that when you were graduating high school, perhaps you had a similar sentiment of wanting to help out your family, but also wanting to continue your education. So my question for you is, what motivated you to decide, you know what, like I want to continue my education, like I don't want to stop here? What was it for you that helped you make that decision? And for students that are listening to us right now, what advice would you give them? They're about to learn the information about what they can have access to and what makes it possible. But what advice would you give them so that they can see in themselves that this is a reality and this is feasible, this is possible for them despite the circumstances that they're going through?
I just want to start by sharing that yes, right, within our community, those sentiments are very real and they exist. You know, they're very strong within our community, and I understand right now with with everything going on, with the pandemic, with the political climate, right, that can also be a huge factor and a very strong influence for a lot of our students, to decide, I just don't want to continue this. I don't know, this is the right path for me. When I was a student, I did also experience some of those emotions, but it took a lot for me to how would I put this? But it took a lot for me to come to the conclusion that at the end of the day, me going to college was going to pay off. It was going to pay off for not only for myself, but also for my parents, right? You mentioned about the motivation. What was my motivation, right, to go to school? My motivation, like being sincere, was my family. My parents migrated to this country without having nothing. They migrated, like many, undocumented families they come to the United States without having a single penny, right? And that's exactly how my family was. So my family came with literally nothing in their pockets. They had do a lot of sacrifices, and I feel for everything, my strongest drive as a student is literally the sacrifices that my parents have done, just because I know that it literally takes a lot for them, just to be here, away from their family, away from their country, away from their land. It's an emotional trauma, right, that we have to live with every single day. So for me, my motivation was, like, I want to do this for my parents, because at the end of the day, yes, right now, you know and I understand, like, I completely understand, having a side job, to help pay, your parent, to help your parents pay, or your family pay, it seems very, like the right thing to do, especially right now with this like everything with this climate. But what I thought about, and something that I want to share is, just think about, like, later on, like with that college degree, I have heard, I don't really know the statistics, to be honest. I don't have the specific numbers, but it's a fact, that just by going to school, like, you are, like, we're already, like, cutting through that, like, poverty side, like, we're cutting through that, we're like changing the barriers, like, we're breaking through, and that's something that I just, something that my counselors would always like also tell me. They're like, think about, like, if you go to school, you're gonna have more opportunities, more, like, more opportunities for you, just to, obtain a job, or be an entrepreneurship and make your own business, right? So for me, I was like, okay, that's pretty much what I want to do. But also I feel like another thing that also played a huge impact was the community that I had, and the support that I had, that would always remind me that no matter the challenges that I would face as a first generation, undocumented student going to school, that I was not going to be alone. And I feel like that's the most, like the most thing that I took from it, is knowing that I was not alone. Because although sometimes I felt like I was alone, the reality is that I had behind me, I had a group of counselors, teachers, friends, family, who had my back and who would always be telling me, you can do this, and if you face this, in school, like, we will figure out a way. So for me, like I mentioned, my motivation has been my family. My motivation has also been myself, right? Like, my dreams, like, this is what I want to do. And, like, my dreams are not only, like, my dreams, but also my parents' dream, right? Like, they migrate here for me to have what I have right now. They migrated here for me to have, like, better education opportunities, and that's their dream. And my dream is their dream, and to make them happy and to make them proud more than anything, and, like, let them know that their sacrifices were worth it. So yeah, my family, and of course realizing and knowing that you're not alone. And that's the message that I want to share with you all, that although right now we might feel, right, like, alone, like, you're not, and you have a community who's with you. Like, you can see on the PowerPoint, on the pictures, like, that's my community right there. They're the people that along my path, right? Even though I felt alone, there were those people right there who would always constantly be reminding me of my worth, what I have to offer, and also the type of person that I am, and they are the people that changed my life, and that every day, despite the fact that I want to give up, right? Because again, school is not easy, it doesn't get any easier, I have them, and I have my culture community wealth that will help me, navigate school, and again, continue influencing other students to also, pursue higher education.
Thank you, Jessica. I think it's really important for you all to take that in and listen to it, because it might seem challenging, right? Especially with the times that we're living and with everything being online and with computers and with applications, like Zoom and all of these different things that we have to learn now. But I want you all to remember Jessica's word, right? She didn't do it alone, right? She had a community of people. She had a group of people that were her support network, her support system. Sometimes it feels like, you know what, like I don't want to ask somebody for help, or I don't want to tell them about my circumstances because they're not going to know how to help me, or I just don't want to tell them. But it just takes finding a person that you feel comfortable with to be able to find a whole community that is there and is available to support you. So know what your motivations are and let that guide you, because like I said in the beginning of this presentation, continuing your education is important, and that is possible in spite of the current circumstances that we're going through. So Jessica is like a prime example of that. She comes from Hacienda La Puente. She knows what it's like to live in the city. She knows what it's like to go to the high schools there. And she's doing amazing things now. And like herself, there are other students that are also undocumented that are making it through. So know that it's possible. Take notes about what I'm about to share with you all, because this presentation focuses on the essential things that you need to get started. Once you start college, you're going to learn even more resources and more opportunities. But right now, let's focus on what you need to get yourself there, and know that once you get there, and even before you get there, you're not alone in this process. And of course, with this, we're now going to transition into the next part of the presentation, but I just want to remind the counselors present, and Jessica as well, if at any point y'all want to chime in and add anything to the presentation, feel free to do so. So the most important thing that you all have to know is that there is support available to go to college. A lot of people think that because they don't have DACA, or that because they are undocumented, they can't continue their education. And that's not true. DACA is not a requirement to be able to receive financial aid in the state of California. And financial aid is available for undocumented students, meaning that it is possible for you to continue your education and not pay a dime out of your pocket. That also means not asking your parents for money if your parents don't have that either. While you don't need DACA, you do need something that's called AB 540. And AB 540, it's a law that essentially says if a student has completed a certain amount of years in high school or in school, and they have some form of a degree, then they're eligible for in-state tuition. And if that student is eligible for AB 540, then they qualify for financial aid, with or without DACA. So when it comes to AB 540, there's 3 branches that you all have to know. Branch number 1, it's to my left, and it's the green box. It's the traditional form of AB 540. And this one says, essentially, that if a student has completed 3 years of high school or more, then the student is eligible for in-state tuition once they graduate from high school with a diploma or with the equivalent of a diploma, which is a GED or another form. So for example, if I'm a high school student and I have been at La Puente High School from my freshman year, and I'm going to graduate this year, class of 2021, then I'm going to become eligible for AB 540 once I graduate, meaning that I'm going to be eligible for financial aid. That's one branch. Now the second one, the one in the middle in the blue box, it's known as AB 2000, and it essentially says if a student has completed 3 years of school in the state of California, those 3 years can be between kindergarten up until 12th grade. Those 3 years can be consecutive, back to back, or they can be combined. And that student will be graduating with a high school diploma or the equivalent. Then that student is eligible for AB 540, and again, by default, eligible for financial aid. So an example of this one would be, say that you completed 5th grade in California, and then your family moved to Texas. You lived in Texas through middle school and part of high school, but you came back to California and you went to Wilson for junior year and senior year. Between 5th grade, junior year, and senior year, you have 3 years right there, right? 3 years combined. And if you're gonna graduate from high school in California, then you're eligible for AB 540. Now the third one, right, the box to the right, this is another option that can allow even more students to be eligible. And what this one says is, if a student has completed 3 years of education in the state of California, those 3 years can be completed between kindergarten to 12th grade, or they can also include some adult school and even some community college. And if that student is also going to have a degree, a high school diploma, an associate degree, or has completed the transfer requirements to go from a community college to a university, then that student will become eligible for AB 540. Now this third branch, I want to spend some time talking about this one a little bit more, because this one really opens up more opportunities for students to eventually be eligible for financial aid. With this third branch, let's say that we have a student who came to California in their junior year of high school, and they've only completed junior year and senior year. They have 2 years right there. They're missing 1 more year so that they can be eligible for AB 540 and later on eligible for financial aid. That extra year that they're missing, they can complete it at an adult school, taking certificate classes, taking ESL classes, or taking any other type of courses that the adult school has to offer. Those classes are typically free. If a student doesn't want to go to the adult school, they can also go to a community college and complete them there. While this third branch might take a little bit longer to complete, it's important for students to know that even if you came to the United States your junior year or your senior year, and you're only going to complete 1 or 2 years of high school, you can be eligible for AB 540 and financial aid down the line. It might take a little bit longer. It might not be the traditional path, but it makes it possible for you to be able to continue your education, even if you have to wait a little bit longer. But the important thing to remember, again, is that you must qualify for AB 540 to be eligible for financial aid in the future. And AB 540 is something that you have to do when you start college. Right after you graduate from high school, you want to get in contact with the college that you're going to go to and fill out your AB 540 form. Because what this does is it exempts you from non-resident tuition. So what does that mean? It means that students that come from different states to California, or students that come from different countries, are charged a higher fee, which is the non-resident fee, the one on the left-hand side of the screen. At a community college, this fee is about $338 per unit, per credit. And if you're taking classes full-time, it can be about $4,000. That's a lot of money for 1 semester, and that's a lot of money for a community college. But again, if a student is eligible for AB 540, right, any of these 3 different boxes, then the student doesn't have to pay that higher fee. Instead, they qualify for resident tuition, meaning you live in California, so you should be paying the resident fees of $46 per unit. For a student that's enrolled full-time, At $46 per unit, that's about $500. The price is drastically different. And oftentimes, because our students don't know about AB 540, they feel like they have to pay the $4,000 out of pocket. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to pay $4,000 out of pocket to be able to continue your education. So remember, when you start college, whether it's Mount SAC, Rio Hondo, Cal Poly Pomona, Cal State LA, UC Irvine, wherever it is, as an undocumented student, one of the first things that you have to do at your school is you have to fill out the AB 540 form so that you are charged resident tuition. I'm gonna say that one more time because I think it's super important. When you graduate from high school, the first thing that you have to do, right? Once you start at the college that you're gonna go to, you have to fill out the AB 540 form. The AB 540 form is gonna allow the price of your classes to drop from the price that we see on the left to the one that we see on the right. If you'll be eligible for AB 540 through the third branch, which is the purple one on the right, then you fill out this form once you meet the eligibility. But keeping in mind that it's still possible and that you still have that opportunity to continue your education. Now, once a student is AB 540 eligible, not only are they charged resident tuition, but they also become eligible for the California DREAM Act. And the California DREAM Act is financial aid that comes from the states that can pay your classes. So if you come from a lower income family, your family doesn't have to even pay these $500 for your college. The California DREAM Act can provide you with the money that you need to pay for your tuition, and different colleges have additional opportunities that can support students. So with the California DREAM Act, main thing, again, that you have to remember, and I'm going to say this so many times in this presentation because it's so critical, is that you don't need DACA. The only thing that you need to be eligible for financial aid as an undocumented student is to be eligible for AB 540. This type of financial aid can be accepted at public schools. So that means any community college, any Cal State, and any UC. By submitting this one application, you're essentially being considered for different types of financial aid. The list varies. I'm going to focus on the one that community colleges has to offer, and that's the second one here, and it says Community College Promise Grant. This is so critical because the Promise Grant essentially waives your tuition, right? It essentially pays for the cost of your classes at a community college. So again, the $500 that we saw over here on the right-hand side of this page, when families come from lower income backgrounds, the California DREAM Act pays for this. The California DREAM Act pays for this. That means that you don't have to worry about paying for the cost of your classes. You don't have to worry about how am I going to ask my mom for money so that I can go to college. That doesn't have to be your worry because the resources are here to help you with that. This Promise Grant is available at all community colleges. Mount SAC, Rio Hondo, Citrus College, and the list goes on. But the most critical thing about this is that you absolutely have to make sure that you apply within the application window. The application opens up on October 1st, and the priority deadline is typically on March 2nd. You want to make sure to submit your application before March 2nd so that you can be considered for as much financial aid as you can qualify for. Promise Grants is one type of financial aid at the community college. Another one that is so critical are Cal Grants. And you can miss out on Cal Grants if you don't submit your application before March 2nd. So you want to make sure to do it before that date. For whatever reason, you have a friend, a cousin, a neighbor who wants to go to college, but they haven't submitted their application and it's already past March 2nd, let them know that they can still go to college. They can still apply for financial aid and they can still receive it. The only thing is that they might not be eligible for Cal grants because it's past the deadline, but they can still be considered for promised grants. This is the part where I would typically pause in my presentations and ask if anybody has questions. So I'm going to open up the floor for our counselors, for Jessica. Let me know if there's anything that you all want to add or if you have any questions for me.
And Melissa, I'm going to add in that thankfully, if you are within the Hacienda La Puente School District, part of the Cal Grant is going to be a GPA verification process. Your school, your counselors, your district, we do that for you. So we're going to submit that in October. It's a different GPA than what's on your transcript. Your counselors can cover it with you. But when you see that you need a GPA verification, don't worry, we're taking care of that for you.
And I just want to add really quick regarding to this, right? So Melissa has been talking about AB 540, AB 2000, and SB 68, right? We want to make sure that we are very clear on what all of those type of, resources we're able to get as undocumented student. But the DREAM Act, California DREAM Act, is super, 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 super important, super important. You know how, we're always waiting for our birthday, right? Or a special holiday, literally March 2nd should be also being marked in our calendars, being marked in your phone, being marked everywhere, because you want to make sure that you submit California DREAM Act, by the deadline. We want to submit that. And I just want to add a little, about my personal experience with the California DREAM Act and where I'm at, right? So we see the numbers, right? We see the numbers and it's very intimidating seeing the 4,000, seeing the 500, and, even seeing the $500, that's very intimidating, right? Especially for students who are low income, like myself. When I started seeing those numbers, I'm like, how am I gonna pay this, California DREAM Act. It was California DREAM Act, everything that has helped me. And I just want to say really quick that I know it's intimidating, right? Seeing those numbers, and we see the numbers, how much it costs for you to attend college. Well, let me tell you, up to this date, I have not paid anything out of my own pocket. And it all has been based because of financial aid. So yes, this girl right here undocumented, it's at UCLA and paying nothing, because I'm submitting California DREAM Act. So in other words, yes, there is money being paid for me to go to school, but it's because I'm getting financial aid and, that I'm able to pay my school through this. So if you are, and you see, and if you're debating going to college just because you're afraid of the numbers, don't be, don't be, because literally the resources they are right there for you. And like I mentioned, it is possible for you to go to any UC, Cal State, even community college, without paying anything, and that has been my trajectory so far. Also, I started at community college, which is significantly cheaper than going straight to a 4-year, right? But now I am here at UCLA, and they even helped me pay for my dorming. So all of that was thanks to California DREAM Act. So please make sure to submit that on time, right? And also understand, sometimes you're like, but wait, I don't know how to do it. Let me tell you, there are resources out there. There's fairs, at Mount SAC, they host a whole, financial aid, day where literally they all help you. They will help you fill this information out. They will help you fill out the California DREAM Act application, so please, just keep an eye, look for that as the days come, closer. Keep an eye, look for that. Look at the Mount SAC websites. Look at other, websites on where this information is going to be provided for you. And you can literally apply for this. And there's people out there who will help you for free. So again, do not be scared. There's people out there who will help you, but please submit this on time. It's so crucial for you to do it. And I cannot emphasize it enough, but please do so, So please, California DREAM Act, March 2nd, put it in your calendar, put it everywhere. Make sure you memorize that, that specific date. And also remember that even if you applied once, you have to continue applying. You need to apply not only your freshman year, but every single year that you're in college. no matter what, still apply for it. Still apply for California Dream Act. If you're not getting it, like just apply, continue applying every year. So it's just not a one life thing, you know, you have to do it every single year that you're in undergrad. So like I mentioned, California Dream Act, apply March 2nd. And yes, you don't have to pay, you know, out of your own pocket for you to go to school. And that has been my trajectory, but it has all been, you know, thanks to California Dream Act.
Can I
Yes,
just
Jessica
add
did a
in?
good, Jessica
sorry.
did a, oh, sorry, Ms. Munoz.
You're good.
Jessica did a great job. And when you have a great GPA and you work hard with your grades, that helps with the amount of money you get. You guys are mentioning March 2nd, which is the deadline. We don't want you to wait till the deadline. It doesn't take long to do the application if you have all your documentation. But most of us counselors who have worked with the AB 540 students, it's a process. And so it takes more than one time, sometimes to submit and resubmit it to fix it. So the sooner you start, it opens in October. Do not wait till March. Do not wait till January. I won't even wait till December. Get it done before Christmas. Get it done before Christmas and you knock it out. And then you know, coming back for second semester, what you have to work with when you go to college. March 2nd is the deadline. It is a deadline and it's a hard and fast deadline. You don't meet that deadline, there's very little to give it after that, but don't wait till it's intimidating and you want to wait. But like they've said, there's so many people to help. There's people to help online, there's people to help at college, there's people to help in the library, there's people everywhere, and the money's for free, but you have to work. Nothing's for free, so you have to do some work, and the sooner you start the work, the easier it is for you.
The only thing I wanted to add is that some of you, I know that sometimes parents are very private about what your legal status is like, and you may not know if they're undocumented, but you aren't in that situation. Whatever that may be, please see your counselor. Feel free to go without being scared, without fearing that someone's gonna go to your home later on and deport you. It's actually legal to do that from a school setting. So you are safe with your counselor. Let them know what your situation is. Sometimes we don't know all the answers, but that's what we have Melissa for, and we can reach out to whomever we would need, you know, Jessica, whomever it could be. So any questions, see your counselor.
And I just want to add, you know, and Ms. Munoz, you brought like a really good point, right? The fear, right? The fear that it comes with sharing your information. You know, I've seen it not only within my family, but also with my peers, right? That they tell me, oh, the only reason why I haven't submitted is because my parents, you know, either don't want to do taxes, right? Because that's another one of our issues. A lot of our undocumented families, they don't do taxes, not because, you know, they don't want to, but because they get paid cash, you know, and, you know, but there is a way for you to continue even to submit your California Dream Act, even with or without your parents having, you know, even if they don't have taxes or they don't do them, like you can still submit it. So don't be scared about that. Another thing, like Ms. Munoz mentioned, you do not, like, don't be afraid of this information because this information will be confidential and they will not share this information. And I understand, you know, that when it comes to our parents, right? Or like talking to our family members, our community members, when you let them know there's still that fear, you know, and that fear is valid, you know, there's a reason why that fear is there. But just, you know, talk them through them, you know, or share that information, you know, if possible. And if you have the ability to do so, walk them through the website and be like, look, this is a website, this is information, share videos with them or explain more about what this specific, you know, website is and how much you can gain from it, right? I always say that communication is key, and we also have to have, like, you know, we need to have a communication, you know, with whoever is helping us, you know, whoever, you know, we're putting their tax information, right, or everything here, you know, explain to them the benefit, you know, of applying for the California Dream Act, and also like let them know and emphasize it, right, that this information will be kept confidential and that they will not, like, this information will not be shared with anyone else. So yes, I do understand the fear of deportation, and again, the fear is valid, you know, I understand, but let them know, you know, that everything will be okay and that this information, nobody else will see it, right? Like, it's just between, you know, them and you as a student, and you getting that financial aid that you need for you to continue with college.
Those are all great points. And I also want to add that in California, there are laws that protect your information. not just yourself, but any students at a college setting, any students submitting these type of applications. So the California Dream Act can only share your information with the schools that you list on the application. So if you're applying to UC Irvine and Mount SAC, and those are the schools that you add on your application, then only those two schools are going to receive your information. Cal State LA or any other school isn't going to randomly receive it. So your information is safe. Your information is not going to be shared with anybody else. And I want to emphasize one more point, going back to the Cal Grants. This is so critical, my friends. So think about it this way. Cal Grants is extra money that can help you with college expenses. College expenses can be textbooks, can be transportation, can be food. College expenses can be helping family with a bill. College expenses can be helping family make the rent the next month. There's so many different things that come up when you're in college that having this money can help you with, right? Now, I never advise students to spend it unwisely. If you don't have a serious expense, then save it because it will come in handy in a rainy day. But know that this is money that you can use while you're in college. And that's why it's so critical for you to submit your financial aid application before that March 2nd deadline. So keep these things in mind. I hope you're taking notes. I'm so serious about having you all write things down because if y'all don't write things down, you're gonna forget. So the next thing that I wanna cover in this presentation is actually what you need for the California Dream Act. Because by now you might be thinking, thanks, Miss Melissa, Miss Munoz, Miss Guzman. Thanks, Jessica. I hear all your information and I'm getting those tips. So now I want to know, what do I need to actually do this? When do I get started? Well, let me go to that slide and we'll tell you. Okay. So for the California Dream Act, to apply for the 21-22 academic year, you're going to need the following information for yourself and for your parents. So for yourself, you want to make sure that you know your full legal name. So whatever name you apply to colleges with should be the name that's on your birth certificate, and that should also match what you put on your California Dream Act. If my name is Melissa Candel Rodriguez, then that's the name that I have to apply for both colleges and the California Dream Act. But if I apply for financial aid as Melissa Candel, but to Mount SAC as Melissa Candel Rodriguez, if my names don't match, then my financial aid isn't going to go to my account. So it's going to be super critical that you make sure that your names match all throughout. The next thing, and we kind of talked about this earlier, is knowing what colleges you're applying to and knowing that you can list up to 10 schools on your financial aid application. So you can list community colleges, Cal States, and UCs. The schools that you list on your application will receive copies of your financial aid application, and each school, typically the Cal States and the UCs, will offer you different financial aid packages based on what they have. But if you apply for a school and they're not on your California Dream Act, they're not gonna receive your financial aid application and they might not have a financial aid award for you. So you just wanna make sure that the schools that you're applying to are on your application. Now for your parents, same thing, you're gonna wanna know their name. Some people don't know, some people forget, so it doesn't hurt to remind you all, as silly as it might sound. You also wanna know their date of birth. That one also sounds really silly for me to say, but I sat down with students in which they're like, I don't know my mom's birthday. And I'm like, well, now you gotta text her or call her to find out. So to avoid those awkward moments, just ask them in advance so that you can know what their birthday is. Marriage dates, if they are married, divorce dates, if that's a situation, or widow dates, if you wanna know that as well. And of course, for the 21-22 academic year, you're gonna need their 2019 tax information. Now I wanna stop right here because if your parents file taxes, then this applies to you and you wanna make sure that what's on the taxes matches what's on your California Dream Act. But I want you to know that if your family does not file taxes for X, Y, or Z reason, then it's not a requirement. You can still submit your California Dream Act without those taxes. Again, if your family doesn't file taxes for whatever reason, and we know that our family circumstances, they vary, know that that's not gonna impede you from applying for financial aid. Additionally, you also want to remember, and like Jessica said, put it on your calendar, put a sticky note on the fridge, like do what you got to do to remember that this is not a one-time thing and that's it. No, you're going to apply for this financial aid once every single year. So you're applying right now as a senior in high school for your freshman year in college. Then once you're a freshman in college, you're going to apply again for your sophomore year in college. Sophomore year to junior year to senior year, or for however long it takes you to complete your bachelor's degree. So whenever you're creating your account, write down your username, write down your password, and put it with your important information. Your important information is your birth certificates and anything like the vaccination, like las vacunas, wherever you have important documents that are for you and for you only, put your California Dream Act username and password there too. And every single year, remember to renew it within the application window. That's October 1st and March 2nd, every year. For our males, if you are going to be in college between the ages 18 and 25, then it's a requirement for you to do take an extra step and do what's called the selective service form. And for selective service, this is something that you do at a post office. You don't do it online. So you go to the post office, you ask for the selective service form, you have to fill it out and you have to submit it. Selective service is a requirement for any male in the United States receiving financial aid, whether it's the California Dream Act or it's the FAFSA for U.S. citizen. And it essentially says that in the event and the rare occasion that there is a war or a draft in the United States, that you can potentially be drafted. And I know that if you're listening right now, that could be like I don't want that to happen to me. And I know that there's a lot of emotions that come with that as well, but know that it's very unlikely for that to take place. That hasn't happened since the 1960s with the Vietnam War. And it's very unlikely for it to happen now. But it is a requirement for you to be able to continue your education and receive financial aid. And this only applies if you are between the ages 18 and 25 by the time that you start college. And then the next point, if you are going to be starting at Mount SAC in the summer, and you're going to start taking summer classes, there's a lot of great summer opportunities that we offer. We'll go into those later. But if you are going to start Mount SAC in particular in the summer, right after you graduate from high school, then you have to submit 2 financial aid applications, not just one. You submit it for the 2021 year, and you will also submit it for the 21-22 year. The reason why you're submitting 2021 is because summer 2021, the financial aid for that summer comes from this academic year. And 21-22, this financial aid will cover you from the fall of 2021 up until summer 2022. So if you're starting at Mount SAC earlier, you have to do an extra application. And for this one, the 2021, you'll need your parents' income information from 2018. So just keep that in mind. You're gonna hear that several times. Ms. Cynthia Orozco is your high school outreach rep for the Hacienda La Puente High School District or School District. And she's gonna remind you all several times like, hey, if you're gonna start taking summer classes at Mount SAC, you have to absolutely make sure to do 2 financial aid applications. I'm telling you now, giving you first dibs so that you can know, but know that it's not gonna be the first time or the last time that you hear this. And the last part about the California Dream Act, and this one's so important. Applying is free. Free meaning like you don't have to pay somebody else $50, $80 for them to help you with this application. If your school is gonna be having a Cash for College day or a financial aid night, financial aid includes the California Dream Act, so go there because those events are free and there are people eager to help you with this application. Don't pay someone for something that's free. Even if it sounds very convincing, don't pay them for something that's free. Instead, talk to your counselors, ask them when's going to be the next financial aid day, and make sure that you go then. Is there anything that you ladies would like to add?
I have a question, Melissa. So
Yeah.
I know that California Dream Act needs to be renewed every year, right? Is that the same for selective service?
Good question, Jessica. So for selective service, no. So the way that selective service is going to work is you submit your selective service one time. You register for it just one time. You're going to go to the post office, fill out the form, mail it out. About 2 to 3 months after you sign up for selective service, you're going to receive a letter in the mail. And that letter is essentially your confirmation that you're signed up. That letter, you're going to also put it with your important documents. And if other colleges ask you to submit proof, then you show them that letter. But you only sign up once. Thank you, Jessica.
Another note, we mentioned that district is going to send in your Cal Grant verification, but what we're going to send in is exactly what is on Aries. So if your information, your name is a little bit different, your address is different for whatever reason, don't worry about that, but do contact your counselor. We have ways that we can go in and we can match it up, but if you don't tell us, it's not going to match, and it's going to give you an error that says you don't have a verification on file. So when you look at Aries, if you already know something doesn't match, contact your counselor right away.
Yes, and also remember that even though, how do I say this? It's for free. And sometimes we think, oh, if I pay for it, it's better if I pay for it. There's going to be all sorts of people out there who are going to try to make you pay for this application. In the title of FAFSA or free application is free. So this DREAM Act is free. This is one of the few things in this world that is free and there's nothing strings attached. Don't pay. And if you feel like you want to pay, because it's better when you pay Ms. Munoz, pay Ms. Hara, pay Ms. Ziegler, pay me, pay Ms. Soto, pay any of your counselors, pay your Avid 4 teachers, because those are the ones who will work day and night to get that done for you. But otherwise, don't pay. There's no reason to pay to ask for money. There's no, in any situation, if you're asking for money and you have to pay, don't do that one. Only do the ones that are free. That's a general tip. When you're asking for something, you shouldn't have to pay to ask for money. My tip.
Very good point, and I like that. If you're gonna pay anybody, talk to your counselors. They'll tell you where to invest that money. But just, that's a joke though, don't do that. But don't pay anyone to apply for financial aid. Now, we're gonna move on to the next part of this presentation. So now we know AB 540 has to be done once you graduate from high school. You only do it for the school that you're gonna be attending. Now we know AB 540 is the requirement to qualify for the DREAM Act, and you have to do this before the March 2nd priority deadline, and you know what you need. Now let's talk about different opportunities, right, beyond financial aid that comes from the state. Because as you all will get to know throughout your senior year, scholarship opportunities are gonna come, right? And you might qualify for many of them. And one that I really wanna spend some time highlighting is the Dream.US scholarship. This is so critical because it's a national scholarship that's offered at different states, and it can provide students with extra money for them to make their college dreams come true. Extra money beyond Cal Grants, beyond the California Dream Act. The way that the Dream.US works is if a student attends a partner college of this scholarship, and the partner colleges are listed here, 1 through 7. If you end up attending, or if you're even considering one of these 7 schools, you can apply for the Dream.US scholarship. And if you go to a community college like Mount SAC, you can receive up to $14,500. If you go to a partner university, like numbers 2 to 7, you can receive up to $29,000. That's extra money for you to be able to go to college and have, to fulfill your book expenses, your different needs that will come up when you're in school. Application window for this is typically from November through February. The application hasn't opened up yet, so I don't know when the exact deadline will be, but know that it's gonna be towards the end of February 2021. And you can actually visit this website to find out what's going to be the deadline and what are going to be the specific eligibility requirements. But this scholarship is specifically for undocumented students. And we have the very beautiful privilege of having Miss Jessica, who was a Dream.us recipient. So Jessica, if you want to add anything about this scholarship and how it helped you while you were at Mount SAC, tell us more.
So, yes, like Melissa said, I've been blessed, right? Because honestly, this was a blessing for me and my family, right? So I applied for the Dream.us National Scholarship. So a little bit story, like a little bit, you know, a little story. I applied to the Dream.us National Scholarship. I want to say a week. It was a week before the deadline. Like, side note, don't do that, right? Don't do that. Don't wait until the last week to apply for this. But the reason why I had to wait a week was because back then when I applied, DACA was a requirement, right? And I want to touch on that. So DACA was a requirement. And within like when I was going through my DACA process, I was facing a number of challenges, right? For me to get my DACA. And I had not received it, right? So when I attended the college fair, right? And when, like I mentioned earlier, and Elmer was talking to me about the Dream.us, like the Dream.us National Scholarships, I put it down on my notes and I said, next year I'm going to come back to this and I am going to apply. Because if there is something that Elmer taught me was to take advantage of everything, right? Take advantage of everything. So next, like my senior year came up and I was like, I'm going to apply. Then I realized that I couldn't because of my DACA. It was still in the process. I was having a lot of difficulties and my DACA arrived 1 week before the deadline. What did I do when my DACA arrived? And that's another thing, right? Another resource. The Mount SAC will also have, workshops and will help you with this specific, like with the process of this scholarship. So I went, every day, me and my mom would bus it, from La Puente all the way to Mount SAC every day. I want to say like every single day, like through that week, I stayed up late at night, typing my questions, right? Because I have to put like a personal statement, right? So I was writing and I would go to Mount SAC and, I remember, counselors looking, through my statement and revising them and going back again. And I was actually one of the last ones every single day, every single day I was one of the last ones to to leave, right? And my dad would always tell me like, what are you doing? Are you helping them clean, right? And I was like, well, they're helping me, so I'm gonna stay as long as I possibly can, right? For me to like get as much help as I possibly can. So like I said, the process was rigorous. I'm not gonna lie. It was rigorous in the way that I had to stay, right? I had to stay up, writing my personal statements. I had to go to Mount SAC and have them revised. So just have someone, you don't have to, but just have someone help you revise them. But again, it was a blessing when I received it. When I was notified actually that I received the Dream.us National Scholarship, that was the deciding point that I was like, this Mount SAC is where I'm going to go. Because it was money that I was receiving, and not only money, but it was a national scholarship. I was amongst I don't know how many people were gotten within the whole nation, but they chose me, and they chose me for a reason. And there are many people out there with the Dream.us National Scholarship that believes in students like us. They believe in us, they believe in our story, they believe in our dreams, and they believe in our goals, right? So yes, they will give you $14,500 and up to $29,000. Like, they will give you that money because they believe in you. So if they believe in you, you need to believe in yourself and believe that you can win the scholarship, right? And that is something that for me and my family, like, this came so in handy. Like, this was a blessing, right? So again, I went to Mount SAC. I used the money that Mount SAC that I was able to get at Mount SAC, right? So that money, what did I do? Again, we already learned about California Dream Act and we learned about AB 540. The money that I received from the scholarship, I did not need it, right? I did not need it because all my expenses were being covered. But what is something that, again, I'm referring back to Elmer because Elmer is like my mentor. Elmer is like like Elmer is like everything, you know. So Elmer would always tell me, you know, save that money because you never know when you're going to need it. And he's so true, right? Like that's so like it's true. So what every single time that I would get the scholarship, all I would do is I put it on my savings. And where did I use that money? I'm still using that money now. Like these are the reasons why, like right now I'm not paying for school, because I'm using like money not only from this scholarship but scholarships, right? And that's something that I really want to focus on. There's scholarships, there's so many scholarships out there. Apply to scholarships. Like there's endless scholarships, you know, not only within your community but then also the city, you know, the school also, you know, if you go to community, like say for example, you go to Mount Sac, right? Like every year they have like the scholarship program. Apply to the scholarships, right? If you do, you know, end up doing the Dream.us National Scholarship, side note, you can use some of those personal insight questions to do, you know, other additional, you know, scholarships. So again, recycle your work, you know, change some things around, but it's your story, it's your work, reuse that, you know. So like I mentioned, you know, for me and my family, it was a blessing, right? Because now I did not have to really worry about, you know, how I'm gonna pay for like a little expense of like a book, right? But even that, there's other scholarships, that there's so many resources that I wish I can share, but there's so many out there, right? But even if you go to community college, and at Mount Sac, there's something called EOPNS, right? With EOPNS, I got a book scholarship and I did not have to pay for my books. So what did that money do? Like it was on my savings, and now again, I'm using it to either pay, you know, for transportation, like Melissa said, or even food, you know, or it's still even there, you know, and I'm just using it for whatever expense that I need as a college student. So please, you know, apply for this scholarship. Please apply for this scholarship. It's literally money out there that you can get and that they can help you, you know, alleviate some of those like weights that you have and that worry of like, how are you gonna pay for this? And like I said earlier, there are people, like there is to fill out the financial aid application, there are people out there, you know, who will help you with this, you know, with this specific scholarship. So for me, it was a blessing. For my family, it was also a huge blessing. And I continue advocating for you know, for this scholarship because it did so much for me that I know the benefit, you know, of being part of something like this. And it's not only a scholarship, but it's a network, right? It's a community network that if I know that I need something, I know I can always like reach out, right, to like Gabby and be like, hey, like I have this, and like she got me, you know, or other like scholars, not only throughout California, but throughout like any other state, you know. I have also met people from like Texas, and I know like Illinois, you know. So again, it was not only a scholarship, but it was a door for like network. So again, please apply. And like I said this, and I will continue saying this, you know, if you need something, please feel free to reach out to me. I can help you. Reach out to your, you know, to your community, reach out to your schools, reach out to, you know, places like Mount Sac, right, that are around the area that will host workshops like this. So please apply. Like the worst you can do, like there's nothing to lose, right? Like there's so much to gain and nothing to lose. So again, take the opportunity, trust the process. That is something that Elmer would always tell me. Trust the process. You need to trust the process and trust yourself and believe in yourself more than anything. So yes, apply.
Thank you. Alrighty, so yes, apply for this scholarship. Now, very quickly, I want to talk about the DREAM program at Mount Sac. So something that's so critical for you all to know is the fact that there is support for you in college. There are centers, programs that understand the experiences of undocumented people, that they understand what the California DREAM Act is, what AB 540 is, what the Dream.us scholarship is, and a number of different resources that exist. Mount Sac has a DREAM program for our students. We offer counseling support to help you figure out what classes to take, also to help you walk through or guide you through personal situations that sometimes come up. We offer counseling courses, which I'll talk about that in a second, field trips to different universities, field trips to different events and opportunities, peer mentoring so you can get to learn from each other the tips and tricks of how to make it through college, book loans to minimize the cost of textbooks, California DREAM Act assistance, scholarship resources so that you can know where the scholarships are at and so that you can be able to apply for them. And I think the most important thing that's on this slide is the legal services. So Mount SAC was selected as one of the community colleges to offer immigration legal services. We have attorneys that currently they provide virtual immigration legal services, but it's free to our students. So if down the line you have a general question or something's happening with your family and you just want to be able to talk to somebody about how do you move forward or what is this that's going on, know that this resource is available to you for free. Oftentimes, our families and our students go to people and they pay them like $500, $700. That's a lot of money that you don't have to pay that Mount SAC has to offer. Legal services are also offered by different universities and community colleges. So you want to make sure that as you're considering different schools, you want to look into what resources do they offer. And this is something that Mount SAC has. Now, I mentioned counseling courses in the previous slide. And I want you to know here that every summer, starting this past summer, Mount SAC the DREAM program has a summer STEP class, which is a Counseling 1 class. This focuses on understanding an introduction to college. What are the transfer requirements? What are the classes that you need to take for a particular major that you're thinking about? It helps you understand in general what you have to know to be a successful student at Mount SAC. But what's beautiful about this course is that it's specifically for undocumented students. So it's taught in a space that's comfortable because you're with other people that come from a similar background and that face similar experiences. And it's taught by one of our counselors who understands your circumstances, who understands your worries, who's not going to rush past what you're going through because they're there to support you. So this class is taught over the summer. So once you graduate, you want to take this course, it's an opportunity. And the biggest benefit is that it's only 2 weeks. And once you finish it, you become eligible for what's called the Promise Plus program. And Promise Plus is a separate program, which Cynthia Orozco is going to teach you about. But this separate program talks about or provides you with different benefits. And those benefits, they vary, but the most important, or not the most important, but the most common ones that people refer to are the fact that they offer book vouchers, community events, early registration for 1 year, and also food cards for our students. So if you go to this website, the Promise Plus Benefits website, it's going to list down every single resource that they have to offer. And this is available to any student who completes either the STEP program or the Summer Bridge program the summer after they graduate from high school. Through the STEP, we're offering 1 class. So if you want to take it along with other undocumented students, it's a beautiful, beautiful opportunity for you all. And with that, I want to highlight really quickly the fact that throughout the year, you're going to get to know people from the high school outreach team. For the Hacienda La Puente Unified School District, that's going to be Miss Cynthia Orozco. So she's going to be talking to you all, guiding you through the Mount SAC application, guiding you through the assessment, through everything that you need to do to be able to register for classes at Mount SAC. So remember her face because you're going to be seeing her soon. And with that, I want to thank you all and thank the counselors and Jessica for your time and for listening to us. It's important information, and the biggest thing that I want you all to take away is the fact that you can continue your education. It is possible. There are ways to do it. Remember, AB 540, the California DREAM Act, scholarships and DREAM programs. The support is out there. Come and reach out to us for that support. Thank you all for listening and for chiming in.